Hey guys, today's story is a little different. Picture a quiet living room in the suburbs, soft afternoon light filtering through closed blinds, and the sharp sound of a mop handle clattering to the tile. My 7-year-old daughter, Lily, was standing there, hands red from scrubbing the kitchen floor. She looked up at me like she'd done something wrong, but I already knew she hadn't. She never did. My name is Darren Holt, 38, divorced father, systems analyst by trade, and full-time protector of the one person who never deserved what was done to her. And if you think karma's slow, wait until you hear this. So, before you get pulled in, take a second to like this video and subscribe, but only if you actually believe that betrayal always comes back around. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? And has someone you trusted ever treated your child like they didn't matter? Now sit back. Let the room go quiet and let me tell you how it really went down. The first clue was her silence. Lily wasn't loud to begin with, but when she came back from visiting my parents that Saturday, she barely said a word. Normally she'd be glowing after a weekend with Grandma and Grandpa showing off the little crafts she'd made, chattering about their dog, talking about what they'd cooked. But that time, nothing. Just her quietly slipping off her shoes, heading straight to the kitchen, and picking up a rag from the sink like she owed them something. I asked her gently what was wrong, but she just said, "They were busy." That didn't sit right. I knew my parents' traditional, strict, emotionally distant, but they weren't cruel. At least I didn't think they were. Still, something gnawed at me, so I waited. 2 weeks later, I got my answer in the most unintentional way possible. My cousin Lacey had posted a family video on her private Facebook group, just one of those cheesy, over-filtered montages with music and emojis, meant to capture the family love during a big outing to the mall. I almost scrolled past it until I saw the date. That was the exact weekend Lily had been at their house. Curious, I tapped on it, expecting to maybe see her in the background, shy but smiling. But she wasn't there. Instead, the star of the video was Claremy Brothers' daughter. Blonde, bubbly, and exactly the kind of hallmark granddaughter my mother always dreamed of. Claire was in every shot posing with Grandma at the bakery, sitting on Grandpa's lap at the carousel, laughing while everyone around her cheered. They even bought her a pair of glitter shoes that lit up when she walked. It was like watching someone else live in the place Lily should have had. And then, at the very end of the video, something I almost missed, a short, blurry clip. Claire skipping into the food court, hand in hand with my mother. And in the corner, through the glass door of the security exit, was Lily, sitting alone, holding a mop. My breath caught. I paused the video, rewound it, and played that 3-second clip over and over. There was no mistaking her. My daughter, my little girl, left behind in a janitor's closet while the family took someone else out to shine. And she hadn't said a word. Not because she didn't notice, but because she thought maybe she deserved it. That broke me in a way I didn't know I could break. I didn't confront them right away. I needed more than outrage. I needed truth. So I asked Lily gently if she'd had fun that weekend. She shrugged and said, "Grandma said Claire was their real grandkid. She said I could help clean like the other helpers." My throat went dry. Real grandkid. The words didn't just hurt, they detonated. I kissed the top of her head and said, "That's not true, sweetheart. Not even close." Then I walked to the garage, sat in the dark, and let the rage settle into something colder, sharper. I spent that night backing up the video, clipping the footage, and securing everything to a drive. I didn't want this to be emotional. I wanted it to be undeniable. You see, sometimes when people betray you, they do it with enough charm that they think you'll never call it what it is. But when they do it to your kid, all bets are off. That night, Lily fell asleep curled beside me on the couch, while I watched those few seconds again, over and over. Not because I needed more proof, but because I wanted to remember how it felt. That helpless fire. That line they crossed and could never uncross. I didn't know exactly how I'd respond yet, but I knew one thing with certainty. This wasn't going to end with me yelling in a parking lot or sending a passive-aggressive message. No, if they wanted to play favorites behind closed doors, I was going to make sure those doors came wide open. And when they did, the world would see exactly who my daughter was and exactly who they weren't. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch with the TV on mute. My daughter curled into my side like she always did when the world felt too big. Her tiny breaths rose and fell against my chest, and I stared into the dark, hearing my mother's voice in my head like a ghost. Claire's our real grandchild. Real. As if blood alone made someone family. As if the nights I held Lily through fevers, the mornings I packed her lunches, the stories we read together, none of it counted. The worst part wasn't just what they did. It was that they thought she wouldn't remember, that I wouldn't find out, that they'd get to smile in holiday photos while a 7-year-old girl carried the weight of being second choice. That's when I realized people like them never stop unless someone holds up a mirror. So I built one, carefully, quietly. I started with the video. I clipped the section where Lily was visible in the background, adjusted the brightness, zoomed slightly, made it impossible to miss. No one would be able to say, "Oh, we didn't see her." No, you saw her. You just didn't look. I synced that 3-second moment with the part right before it where Claire laughed and said, "This is the best day ever." The contrast was a punch to the gut. Then I added a caption. Just one line. Meanwhile, in the back room it wasn't flashy. It was honest. I saved the video to a secure cloud folder, made backup copies on a USB, an external drive, even emailed it to myself under a fake subject line. I didn't know yet when I'd use it, but I knew I would. Truth needs timing, and timing, when done right, becomes consequence. The days that followed felt like walking through fog with fire under my skin. Every time my parents called, I let it go to voicemail. Every time my brother texted in the family group chat about upcoming birthdays or family brunch, I stared at the screen and said nothing. Lily, meanwhile, kept being Lily. Brave, soft-spoken, drawing pictures, folding napkins at dinner like it was a job, quietly asking if I thought Grandma would like the snow globe she made in art class. I said, she should. I didn't add what I was thinking, but I don't care if she does. I kept digging, though, not out of spite but for confirmation. I talked to Lacey, the cousin who'd posted the video, casually at first. I asked how the day went, if Lily had fun. She hesitated, then said, I thought she wasn't invited. Your mom said she stayed home with a sitter. That hit me like a cold slap. They hadn't even told the others she was there. They'd erased her, lied about it, and no one thought to question it. That's when I stopped second-guessing myself. They hadn't made a mistake. They'd made a choice. And that meant I could, too. A few days later, I called a friend of mine. Rachel worked in local event planning and owed me a favor from a time I helped her son fix his college application software. I asked if she could help me put together a private dinner space for a small family birthday with access to AV equipment. She said sure, no questions asked. I gave her a date. My mom's upcoming 65th birthday. My brother had already floated the idea of a big celebration. Now, I was going to take him up on it. But the guest of honor wasn't going to be who they thought. The plan was simple. Everyone would come expecting cake and candles. Instead, they'd get clarity. I knew it would burn bridges. But some bridges only ever led to fire. I ordered a second copy of the video on a USB, labeled it with nothing but the word truth. I wrapped it in a card, addressed it to my mother. I put it in my desk drawer, not to mail it, but to have it waiting visible. Just in case I ever needed to remind myself I wasn't crazy, that this wasn't a dream, that they really had done that to a child who called them Grandma and Grandpa. 2 nights before the event, my mom finally called directly. I answered this time. She sounded cheerful, rehearsed, like nothing had changed. We're so excited for Saturday. Claire picked out a dress just for me. I said, that's great. And then I added, Lily's excited too. She's making a slideshow. There was silence on the other end, just for a breath. But it was enough. Then she said, oh, I didn't realize she'd be attending. I said, she wouldn't miss it for the world. That was the moment I knew. The performance was coming to an end. I didn't tell Lily what the video really was. I just told her we'd be playing a little something to show how much family means. She smiled. said, "Will it have music?" I said yes. She picked a soft piano track from my laptop library and said, "That one feels kind." She had no idea the kindness wasn't for them. It was for her. Because if the world was going to see what they'd done, I wanted the music to remind everyone exactly who the victim was. Not with anger, with grace. The stage was almost set. All that was left was pressing play. The restaurant was exactly the kind my parents loved: dim lights, crisp white tablecloths, and just enough marble to pretend elegance was earned. I arrived early, Lily's small hand in mine, both of us dressed simply but neatly. I wasn't there to impress anyone. I was there to end something. In the private back room, Rachel's team had already set up the projector. The laptop was connected. The screen rolled down discreetly behind a flower arrangement. Lily didn't ask questions, she just sat at the table I pointed to, legs swinging above the floor, smiling like this was any other dinner. That made it worse. She had no idea the kind of war being waged in the space around her. She was still giving them grace they didn't deserve. Guests began arriving in slow waves. Hugs were exchanged, fake smiles too. My brother came in with Claire, her glitter shoes tapping out little declarations of entitlement across the tile floor. My father gave me a firm handshake, no words. My mother, dressed in cream and pearls, kissed my cheek and said, "So glad you both made it." I didn't respond. I didn't need to. If she noticed the coldness in my eyes, she pretended not to. When dinner ended and people were picking at dessert, I stood and gently tapped my glass. "Before the night wraps," I said calmly, "Lily and I put together a short video, a little family moment we thought everyone should see." A murmur of polite interest followed. I walked to the laptop, opened the file marked truth, and hit play. It began with warmth. Old home videos and my brother as kids, blowing out birthday candles, opening gifts, photos of past holidays, laughter frozen in time. I saw shoulders relax around the room. People leaned in, smiling at nostalgia. Then the screen flickered, and the energy changed. Claire appeared on screen, bouncing through the mall, her hand in my mother's, receiving kisses, bags of gifts swinging from her arms. It was the same footage Lacey had posted. Then, without warning, the image froze, zoomed in, and there was Lily, alone, behind the glass of a janitor's door, holding a mop with both hands. Still, silent, watching. A text overlay appeared. Time to the piano music Lily had picked herself. Meanwhile, the other granddaughter was left to scrub. The room shifted from warm to ice cold. My mother straightened in her chair. My father looked away. My brother stared down at his plate. And Lily? She was watching the screen with a confused little frown. She hadn't seen this clip before. She hadn't known I had it. When the video ended, no one spoke. I stepped forward. 2 Saturdays ago, I began, voice even but razor sharp. "My daughter came home from your house and said almost nothing. When I asked why, she told me Grandma said Claire was your real granddaughter, and that she could help with cleaning while you went out." I scanned the room. She didn't tell me to get anyone in trouble. She told me because she thought she had to earn your love. And you let her believe that. My mother's eyes shimmered, but it wasn't remorse. It was panic. "That clip's out of context," she said, her voice brittle. "No," I replied. "The context is what damns you." My father finally spoke. "You're making this a bigger deal than it is." I stared at him. "My 7-year-old daughter sat alone with a mop while you treated someone else like royalty. And you want me to minimize that? You want me to pretend it didn't happen so we can all eat cake?" I turned to Lily and knelt beside her chair. She looked small, unsure. "Sweetheart," I said gently, "you didn't do anything wrong. You're not less. You're not invisible. And you never have to earn their love. If they don't see your worth, that's their failure, not yours." She nodded, biting her lip. I stood again and faced the rest of the room. "I'm not asking for apologies. I'm done asking for decency. You don't get to shame a child in silence and expect quiet forgiveness." So Thistonitis, the last time she steps into a room expecting family and finds a hierarchy instead. I walked to the laptop, unplugged the USB, and slipped it into my pocket. "Enjoy your cake," I said. "Lily and I have better things to celebrate." No one tried to stop us. As we walked out, past stunned cousins and wide-eyed aunts, I realized something. I hadn't destroyed the family. I just revealed the one that already was. The next morning, sunlight poured into our kitchen like nothing had happened. Lily was at the table with a coloring book, humming quietly, her feet swinging under the chair. She didn't bring up the night before. She didn't ask why Grandma didn't say goodbye or why no one clapped after the video. Kids are smarter than we give them credit, for they know when silence means something. But I watched her more carefully that day. There was a lightness in her, subtle but real. The kind that comes when you stop wondering if you did something wrong. For the first time in weeks, she colored freely. No tension in her shoulders. No questions in her eyes. And that's when I knew the real revenge wasn't just in what I'd shown them, it was in what I'd given her back. But that wasn't the end. Couldn't be. Not when I heard from my brother the very next day. He called during lunch break. I answered, voice neutral. He didn't even greet me. "You blindsided everyone," he said. "Mom's devastated." I let that hang in the air for a moment. "Good," I said. "That means she felt something." He scoffed. "You know she didn't mean it that way. She was just trying to be fair to Claire. You took one moment out of context and turned it into an attack." "That one moment," I said, "was the truth, and she's lucky all I showed was what Lily saw. I didn't play the voicemail." That stopped him. "What voicemail?" So I told him. The one my mom had left me a month earlier, after I said no to keeping Lily home an extra weekend so Claire could have more one-on-one time. "She's just not the same as Claire," my mother had said on the recording, her tone so soft it was chilling. "We try, but she's always just there." I never deleted that message. I saved it, filed it, timestamped it. I hadn't needed to use it yet, but I would, if they forced my hand. My brother went quiet. Then he mumbled something about family being complicated and hung up. That's when I realized the shift was happening. They weren't trying to fix anything. They were trying to cover their tracks. So I made it easier for them to fall. I took that recording and paired it with the video, not for public upload yet, but for insurance. I sent it to two people. My lawyer, who's helped me document everything since my custody agreement was signed, and my cousin Lacey, the same one who posted the original video, along with a simple message: "In case anything happens, I want you to have the truth," because I knew how this worked. Families like mine didn't apologize. They retaliated, and I was ready. Sure enough, within a week, my father emailed me. Not calda-mailed, like it was a business negotiation. He said that I had damaged the family's reputation, that people had been talking, and that I was encouraged to make a public statement clarifying that no favoritism had occurred. It was almost funny how carefully he worded it. Corporate, cold, strategic. I didn't reply. I printed the email and added it to the growing folder labeled Lily Defense. They weren't sorry. They were scared. Rachel's friend who'd helped with the event called a few days later to say someone had asked if she was aware the video might have been manipulated. She laughed, told them it came straight from Facebook, and hung up. But she warned me, "They're trying to erase it. Just be ready." I was more than ready, because while they were panicking over what I'd already done, I was preparing what came next. I didn't need to sue them. I didn't need to make them go viral. I needed to make sure that every person who mattered to Lily knew the truth. That meant her school, her future mentors, the few extended family members who'd always loved her. I created a private webpage. Just one. Password protected. Short. No names. No finger pointing, just the footage, the voicemail, and one quote from Lily. I thought maybe I wasn't special enough. The link was shared only with people I trusted. People who could protect her in rooms I couldn't enter. And then I stepped back. The trap was never about legal action. It was about exposure. Controlled. Clean. Permanent. My parents stopped trying after that. No more calls. No more messages. The group chats went quiet. My mother's social media turned to garden photos and quotes about forgiveness. But we both knew what that silence meant. She knew she'd been seen. Lily never asked why we didn't visit anymore. Instead, she started asking about my side of the family. Her great-aunt, my college roommate who always sent her books, people who made her feel chosen, loved. We leaned into that. Slowly, we built our own version of family. One that didn't need cake or curated photos. One that didn't use words like real to describe someone's worth. The trap wasn't just for them. It was for me too. A test of whether I could walk away from something toxic, even if it wore the mask of tradition. And I did. I didn't just expose them. I freed us. 3 months passed without a single word from my parents. No birthday cards. No surprise visits. No half-hearted apologies disguised as dinner invitations. The quiet didn't ache the way I thought it would. Settled. Soft. Final. Like closing a heavy book after reading the last page and knowing you don't need to reread it. Lily didn't mention them either. She stopped asking when the next sleepover was. She stopped bringing up Claire's name. Kids always know when a door's been closed for good. They just don't always ask who turned the key. Then came the invitation. It arrived as a glossy trifold envelope in the mail, addressed to both Lily and me. My mother's handwriting on the front still perfectly looped, like everything about her. Inside was an invite to a family legacy picnic. Their words, not mine. A catered event at a local botanical garden with family photos, bonding activities, and a slideshow of our shared journey. It was like watching them try to rewrite the past in real time, hoping no one remembered the chapters they tore out. At the bottom, in cursive gold print, it read, "All family members are invited, especially our precious grandchildren." I read it twice. Lily, sitting beside me, asked what it was. I told her honestly, "It's a picnic. Grandma wants to see us." She looked up at me and said, "Will you come if I don't want to?" And that was the moment I made the decision. "We go," I said. But this time, we don't go quietly. I didn't need vengeance anymore. That wasn't what this was. I needed a correct Iona moment so undeniable that even their revisionist history would crack under the weight of it. So I dusted off the USB. Not the first one I used at my mom's birthday dinner, the second one. The one with the voicemail, the extended footage, the montage of small but deliberate slights they thought no one noticed. A series of truths sewn together in plain sight. I added one final clip, Lily's interview. A few weeks earlier, I'd sat her down gently, asked her how she felt about family. She talked about love, safety, about people who listen. Then she paused, thought for a moment and said, "Sometimes I think Grandma likes Claire better, but that's okay, because I like me better." I didn't cry when she said it. I saved that for later, but I knew that was the heart of everything. Not the mop, not the mall, not the gifts. The self-worth she was rebuilding without them. We arrived at the picnic on time. The garden was filled with pastel decorations, long tables under white canopies, the kind of curated happiness that only lives in event photos. My brother greeted us with exaggerated warmth, Claire bouncing beside him in a flower crown. My parents approached next me, father with a firm nod, my mother with a smile that trembled at the edges. "I'm so glad you came," she said, leaning in for a hug. I let her, but I didn't say anything. The picnic began like any other. Overcooked hot dogs, lemonade that tasted too sweet, awkward attempts at small talk. But I was calm, patient. I waited until the legacy slideshow started. Images projected on a screen near the rose garden, old photos of family weddings, christenings, graduation caps thrown in the air. People clapped. Some wiped away tears. And then the screen cut to black. I stood up, remote in hand. "Before we finish," I said, "I wanted to share one more thing. Something from Lily and me." My mom's smile froze. The screen flickered, and there it was, the video. Lily in the back room, hands red from scrubbing. Claire laughing with my parents. The juxtaposition as brutal as it was honest. Then came the voicemail. My mother's voice, soft and cutting. "She's just not the same as Claire. And then Lily, on camera, smiling into the lens. Sometimes I think Grandma likes Claire better, but that's okay, because I like me better. Silence. It lasted longer than I expected. No one moved. My aunt put a hand over her mouth. My cousin blinked rapidly. My father looked straight ahead, like if he stared hard enough, he could will the moment into disappearing. My mother whispered my name, but I wasn't finished. I walked to the front, stood beside Lily, who was now holding my hand tightly. I didn't show this to shame anyone, I said. I showed it because this is what Lily remembers. This is what she carries. And if any of you truly care about being a family, start by acknowledging the child you ignored. My mother tried to speak. We didn't mean, but you did, I interrupted. Calm, measured, unshakable. You meant every decision, and now you get to sit with it. I picked up our things. Lily didn't cry. She looked proud, strong, like she understood that being seen mattered more than being liked. As we walked away from the rose garden, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clean. The kind of clean that only comes when you've stopped asking for approval and started choosing peace. Behind us, they remained seated, quiet, maybe reflecting, maybe plotting their next move. I didn't care anymore, because in a garden full of people pretending to honor legacy, only one girl stood tall in the truth, and her name was Lily. The picnic ended in silence, but the ripples didn't. Over the next week, messages trickled in carefully worded texts from cousins who'd never taken a side before, voicemails from extended family that started with, "I had no idea," and ended with, "I hope Lily's okay." The people who mattered, the ones still capable of self-reflection, offered soft apologies and quiet support. And the ones who didn't, they vanished. I didn't miss them. My parents didn't call. Not that week. Not the next. There was no knock at my door. No letter in the mail. No dinner invitation disguised as a truce. They didn't know what to say, or maybe they thought silence would punish me. But I'd stopped needing anything from them the moment I saw Lily's chin lift as we walked away from that picnic. The moment she looked at me and said, "I didn't even feel scared," that was when I knew we were done asking to be seen. From now on, we'd write our own story, one that didn't require permission to matter. A few days later, I got a message from Lily's teacher. She'd been asked to write about someone she admired. She chose me. She drew a picture of us holding hands under a rainbow, with words scribbled across the top in purple marker. "My mom is brave because she tells the truth." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I printed it out and pinned it to the wall above my desk. Not to remind myself of the pain, but to remind myself of the clarity that came after it. I didn't stop documenting. I kept every message, every clip, every failed apology. Not for revenge, not anymore, but because sometimes protecting your child means preserving the record of what she survived so no one can tell her it was just her imagination when she's older. Lily never asked to go back to my parents' house. She never brought up Claire again. Instead, she started inviting her classmates over for art projects and movie nights. We planted tomatoes on the balcony. She named the tallest one Brave Bean and checked it every morning before school. She started humming again, freely, unguarded. The weight she'd carried quietly had been replaced with something else belonging. One afternoon, we passed my parents at the grocery store. Lily didn't notice at first. She was picking cereal. But I saw them standing by the produce section, my mother holding a grapefruit like it could explain something for her. My father looked older, slower. I didn't approach. I didn't speak. I just turned our cart and walked away. I thought I might feel a pang of grief, but I didn't. I felt nothing, because we'd already said goodbye. That picnic wasn't just a confrontation. It was closure. The moment we got home, Lily flopped onto the couch and asked if we could have breakfast for dinner. I made pancakes while she played music on the speaker, something upbeat, something happy. She sang off key and I joined her. I wasn't trying to make a memory, I was just living inside one, fully present, fully free. Later that week, I took her to the community center where they were hosting a children's art gallery. She'd painted a picture of our building at night, with our apartment window glowing gold. Underneath, she'd written, "This is my favorite place because it's where I'm loved." The center staff asked if they could feature it in their newsletter. Lily said yes without hesitation. She wasn't hiding anymore. She didn't need to earn a place at anyone's table. She'd already built her own. Some nights, I still think about the way they looked at Hermie family. Like she was invisible. Like love was a pie and she'd stolen someone else's slice. But that thought never lasts long. Because I've seen what happens when a child realizes she's enough. It's in the way she speaks louder in class. It's in how she stands up for the new kid. It's in the ease with which she sleeps at night, no longer waiting for approval to come through the door. And for me, the revenge wasn't in the video. It wasn't in the silence that followed. It was in the quiet evolution of my daughter into someone unafraid, someone whole, someone who knows exactly who she is. Her name is Lily. She's 7. She likes cinnamon toast and animated science shows. She doesn't clean floors for approval anymore. And she never, ever questions if she belongs. I still have the original USB. I keep it in a drawer not to remind me of pain, but to mark the day everything shifted. It's labeled in Lily's handwriting. All it says is, us. Sometimes revenge doesn't roar. It doesn't come in courtrooms or headlines or explosive confrontations. Sometimes it's a whisper, a soft, steady hand on your child's back as she sleeps soundly, knowing she's safe. It's the quiet refusal to beg for scraps at a table that never had a seat for you in the first place. It's watching your daughter grow into her name, unburdened by the weight others tried to make her carry. I used to think I needed justice that looked like fire. I thought I needed their guilt, their shame, their admission. But now I understand that the deepest power lives in freedom. The freedom to walk away without a need to explain. The freedom to choose love over legacy. The freedom to protect peace like it's the only inheritance worth passing on. I won't rewrite history. I won't pretend the pain didn't happen. But I also won't let it define us. What they did, what they failed to do, stopped being the center of our story the moment I chose to stop chasing their acceptance. My daughter's laughter now rings louder than their silence ever could. And in the end, that's the real victory. Not proving them wrong, but raising her right. Not shaming them into apology, but showing her she never needed it to begin with. So if you're carrying betrayal on your back, waiting for a reckoning, just remember, healing is the quietest revenge. And sometimes walking away is the loudest thing you'll ever do. Her name is Lily, and she is finally home.